we need to talk about Ferrari. So, as the Formula 1 paddock starts to fly over to Baku, Ferrari find themselves a lowly 4th position in the Constructors' Championship standings on 26 points, with Charles Leclerc all the way down in 10th. They are 300% down year-on-year points-wise, with no major regulation changes, so the question lies, how on earth did the Scuderia go from title contenders to midfield warriors? Well, where do I start? 2023 has been poor for the biggest name in motorsport. In Bahrain, after running well, Charles Leclerc, despite taking all of its ESU units for the whole season, blew up his car. The Ferrari struggled for pace in Jeddah, and well, Australia was a disaster for the team, with Leclerc deciding to take a trip into the gravel and Sainz going full Grosjean, gaining himself a penalty. So, with the start to a season that Ferrari have had, let's take a deep dive into the causes and changes that might have led to this sharp decline in team performance. Well, let's first take a look at the two main new faces and why they have been brought in. If I were to ask you what Ferrari's biggest issue was in 2022, I think there's a fair chance that you would point at the pit wall, laugh for a few seconds, and tell me about Ferrari's strategists. And to be honest,
Stay out!
I don't think I'd be able to disagree. You just have to think back to the Hungarian Grand Prix with the hard tyre saga, or maybe the Brazilian Grand Prix, when under changeable conditions, the team decided to forget how to tyre. So, with that blunder, going into the 2023 season, Ferrari decided to shake things up in the strategy department. This is Inaki Rueda. Cool guy, right? Wrong. He's fired. Forget about him. Here is his replacement, Ravin Jain. I have no idea if I butchered that name, but he is the new head of strategy at Ferrari. So, how is he doing for the Scuderia? Well, to be honest, it's a little early to make that assessment. However, as an Oxford graduate, I expect him to at least have some competence in the role, and well, much of Ferrari's issues this season are unfortunately down to the men behind the wheel and reliability. With that said, I think this personnel change could be significant for the resurgence and rebuilding of the prancing horse. The next, not so new face, is a man by the name of Fred Vasseur to be precise, and well, the appointment of him for me is a hugely critical element as to whether Ferrari can succeed in the future. Right, let's take this back. Remember this man here, dodgy hair? Well, this is Mattia Binotto, and his role was both technical director and team principal, meaning he oversaw both the technical elements as well as general team principal functions. This meant that he was essentially doing the jobs of two director level people. Not ideal for success, right? Well, this has changed with Fred. He has come in a more traditional team principal role, where he is able not to be the jack of all trades, but the master of one. And as shown from his tenure at Alfa Romeo, I think he's well up for the job of managing a team, even if that team does drive a big red car. So far this season, the start has undeniably been laughably poor compared to last season. However, how much of this we can attribute to Fred Vasseur and how much is the Binotto legacy is unsure. So with all that, I think that Fred is a long-term fix to an underlying problem for the Scuderia, though benefits are not likely to be felt anytime soon. Okay. If it's not the new management personnel that are causing a horror start to the team in red, what is it? Well, I think it's clear. For the most part, the most important thing to a Formula 1 team, it's not its driver, it's not its team principal, hey, it's not even the badge that they put on the front of the car. It's how quickly said car can move through the air and how many horses it can pump out. The fact is, data shows very little year-on-year growth in the pace of Ferrari. So why is this? Well, to start off, it was on the 18th of June 2021 when Ferrari stopped focus on the old regulation car to focus on 2022. What's more, finishing third in the constructors in 2021, they had a healthy dose of wind tunnel time in comparison to their silver and blue compatriots. This allowed the Scuderia to burst out of the blocks, giving the Formula 1 community hope that we would have a title fight on our hands. But alas, this was not to be the case, where Ferrari struggled to develop throughout the season, leaving them fighting for P2 in the drivers' standings via Charles Leclerc come season's end. So, with it settled that the car is the issue here, why have Ferrari developed so poorly? Well, it didn't help having Binotto not able to properly delegate. However, for me, there is something much deeper going on at Ferrari. Why do you think every major tech company is based in Silicon Valley? Now, without boring you, it's due partially to location economies of scale, whereby a number of businesses in a specific industry are situated close together, allowing an immense talent pool to be created, therefore pushing the development of all parties within it. So with that said, is it any surprise that the two World Championship winning teams for over a decade are located just half an hour from each other? Now, I'm not calling Buckinghamshire the Silicon Silicon Valley of Formula 1, but as Formula 1 has continued to grow, develop and become more of a skilled environment, employee talent matters. And with highly talented engineers, aerodynamicists and team members travelling from across the world to work here, whereby they bounce around companies, learning from all of the different teams, is it any surprise that despite the mind-boggling budgets in the past, that Ferrari have struggled and could continue to struggle to compete, especially in the cost cap era? On top of a potential issue with talent pool, I think also the mindset of Ferrari, unlike the early 2000s, is not geared towards winning. At the end of the day, organisations are not just corporate entities, but they are just thousands of people working for a badge. And as a result, while some of the employees are still those who have experienced success, the truth is that Ferrari, as of today, is not the Ferrari of 20 years ago. So the question lies, can Fred bring this team to recovery? It was the late great Enzo Ferrari who once said, ask a child to draw a car, and certainly he will draw it red. And while this is still true, the fact is that we are not in the early 2000s or 1900s anymore. We are not in an era of Ferrari domination, and I hate to say it, but many Formula 1 fans who grew up watching Formula 1, who are now becoming legal adults, do not remember watching Ferrari lift a world title back in 2008. The fact is, well, yes, if you do ask a child to draw a car, they'll probably draw it red, but they will do that wearing a blue or black hoodie. Ferrari are special, but they are becoming less special as time goes on. In Formula 1, the sport that never stands still, no example exemplifies this stronger than the troubling tale of Ferrari. The team's long-standing ties to the sport and associated financial bonuses are slowly being eroded. The team are a shell of their former selves, with the weight of the Italian media on Fred Vasseur's shoulders. Something drastic needs to change at Ferrari for the Tifosi to roar once again. Thank you so much for watching. It would mean the world if you were to subscribe and like. Good morning, good evening, or good night. See ya!